Our topic today is what you need to know about Sage Enterprise Intelligence. This is the home screen of Sage Enterprise Intelligence, and the first thing I want you to know is when you listen or see the emails from Sage, you will see a couple of things. You'll see a product called Sage Intelligence, and you'll see a product called Sage Enterprise Intelligence. They are not the same thing. So Sage Intelligence is an Excel-based, predominantly financial reporting tool. It's a multi-dimensional reporting tool. It is capable of reporting out of the other modules, receivables, payables, inventory, order entry, but it is a Excel-based tool. So you're really working in an Excel interface, writing scripts and processes within that Excel interface. Sage Enterprise Intelligence is a web-based product. So it installs to a web server, not unlike a CRM system or other web-based tools. It does ride inside of your network. Your environment requires an IIS server to run. And when we go to it by opening up a web browser. And in that web browser, we give it a URL. And the screen opens. So we go ahead and we log into the product, and it begins to open. It's making connections to the database, to everything that it needs as it opens up. And what we'll see here is a default installation, and I'm just going to show you kind of what comes out of the box and then talk about what can be done. So when we come into this, I'm of course an administrative user. You can set up a number of users in the system. It is a concurrent license, not unlike your Sage 300 ERP environment where you can have 3 licenses but 5 people configured. Much the same idea here. So, what we want to look at is, how does the system work? How do we get a single clear picture of our business? We're going to take a look at how we can share reports with other people and how we can let our employees or empower key people to make their own reports. So those are the goals for today, and let's get started. If we look at here, we have some top categories, and if I look at say inventory control, I can get some detailed reports out of this. Now this layer up here is a view. We're going to look at some of the technical back ends. So this view gives us a group of files, data that are available to us in this area, and then each of these are kind of a more detailed look at things, and then each of these are obviously the individual reports. So if I go to inventory by item and I double click it, what it will do is open up a report retrieving data in real time out of my accounting system and allow me a view here. So I can look at a fluorescent desk lamp here, my A11030. Of course, I'm attached to sample data. And what I can see here is I have a central warehouse location. I have a Portland office location. I am sorting by my item number here. And I'm pivoting by my location, and then my columns are total cost, quantity on hand, and available to ship. Now, the great thing about Sage Enterprise Intelligence is this layout is defined, but I can go ahead and I can do a variety of things. So if I want to add a column, I simply come in here and let's say I want to look at, let's just say the most recent cost on this. So I've got total cost, that's my accounting, but I may also want most recent. So I just simply pull that up here, drop it in place, and now the screen changes and gives me most recent cost at the end. If I wanted things sorted by something other than item numbers, I could say, sort them. Yeah, a second, let me do that until I do this. So I can rotate the sort on things and move them around so that I'm sorting them by the central warehouse, and then I drill down and look at other things in there. So I've got item numbers going left to right. I've got warehouses coming top to bottom. Now in this case, that's not a very useful arrangement, so I will simply fix that, put it back the way that it was. But we can come through and make these changes to it. So let's look at a different one. We'll go ahead and close this one. But let's go down to order entry, and maybe we can look at invoice summaries, or they have a separate group here. Let me just find it. We have a sales analysis area, sales history, which is kind of a summary of order entry activity. So now I can come down here and I can look at sales by a salesperson, and I can come in here and now I'm, instead of looking at it in a data view, I'm looking at it in a bar chart view, and I can change these views in real time. So if I want to look at sales by year, I can have those just simple summaries in here. I can come in and change those, of course, if I wanted to. If I go to sales by item, I get a more traditional view that we were looking at earlier, and I can come in and I can look at that fluorescent desk lamp. I can look at its accessories. I can look at different pieces of data that are in there, and come through and pull this together. Now I will admit that the sample layout in my mind is probably not the best laid out for some of these data elements, but they give you an idea of what the system can do. And when it's finished and you've got it tweaked to the way that you'd like it, some of the views that you can put together. So these are different views. If I go to sales history, again, we looked at it. Here's 2019. Here's period 1 of 2019 through period 12. Here's period year 2020, and I'm only through my 7th month, so I see 7 months here. I can come through here and look at it by period. Then I can look at it by customer number and document number here. If I want to allow it, I could have drilled down even deeper than this if I wanted to pull it down or link in the item numbers in this list. I could do that as well. So there's all of this information that we can come through and dig down and get, and then again the users can come through and change them based on rights, of course, but we could say that we want to maybe we want to build a pivot based on an item number to this information, and now here again I get my 2019 information period 1 through, but now I get my item numbers going right to left. But item numbers are kind of bulky, so I don't really want that. I'm going to get rid of that. So maybe what I want to do is I want to go with category codes and group those items more in a category arrangement. So now I see my accessories, my A1, and I can see sales returns, net sales, cost of sales, and quantity sold. And then by scrolling across, I can see my other categories going right to left across the screen. So those are the pivots that I've built in by simply grabbing them out of my available areas over here and pulling them across into the pivot area. So if I wanted to simply change the way we group or sort, I could go fiscal periods first, and now I could go fiscal periods and do a comparative between 19 and 20, or of course in many of your systems I might have 4, 5, 8, 10, 12 years that would pop open under period 1. But here my analysis is not year over year. Here my analysis is period year over year. And so I'm not just looking at all of 2019 versus all of 2020. I'm looking at what does period 1 of 19 versus period 1 of 2020 look like for sales, and we can see that it's a significant improvement between the two, and we can go through then and look, do I see similar improvements across other periods as we're marching forward? In other words, is that an anomaly month, which it appears to be, or is that more of a consistent activity? Now, interesting, this one had no activity in 19 at all, so it must be, a new product, new sales, some different activity. We sold nothing in the prior year. So these are all interesting, relevant data, and we can come through and get those by working within a particular sales report. Now, I can change these sales reports by looking at their properties. I can change who owns them, whether or not they're published to the public or to a particular group. I can prompt on openings, so I can have you create a prompt and a selection page so that you can control how they look when they open. But I can also come up to the upper level up here where sales history at the top of this big group, and I can come in and start to look at what are called processes. So I can open, let me make sure I get to the right place here. I can design this process, and this is kind of the meat behind the system. So a process design is not something that the average user is going to do. It's something that a report writer or a database specialist is going to do. If you write crystal reports, this probably isn't something that's terribly unusual to you. The top of this page is our data linking using a standard join protocol that is fairly common. So this is an inner join. You can remove the joins if you want. You can tag one join after another, but here we have a drive table, or what they call the fact table. Crystal calls them driving tables. And then we have the details or the supporting information coming in behind it. That then builds a series of columns of the data elements, and then we can come through and add things such as calculations, percentage of profit here, where this is a calculated field. And so we're able to come in and build calculation fields in cooperation with the data elements that are in here to provide our users with a unified or a non-technical way to access that data. So when I look over here, I have profit percentage because whoever designed the process for me built that into it already. So as a user, I don't have to create that formulation. That formulation was built into the process, and I am free to utilize that as I want. And so I could simply come up here and add the percentage of profit. I'm just going to stick it in between these two so that we can see it come in here. But I can see the percentage of profit come in here between my sales, returns, net sales, cost of sales, and now profit percentages. I can see that come through, and then of course my unit sold at the end. So very easily as a user, I was able to take an element that whoever wrote the process provided for me and drop it in place without having to come through and write calculations or update a formula to give me that information. So that in a nutshell is kind of how the system works. We come through here and we build these processes, and we can have multiple processes under a group if we want. Now under sales analysis we have one, but under order entry we have many processes here, each with their own design process, each with their own set of linking tables, each with their own optional field tables or anything else that we want to view here. This group of files right here is then supporting all of the reports that are under it, whereas this group called OE Invoice Summary is then supporting the ones under this as well. And you can see this is a This is a test system here, so we've been inserting some tests of our own and looking at these. But if I wanted to go through, just grab one here. I have orders on hold by customer. Now, interesting enough, I don't have any orders on hold. I could, go through and look at all of these open orders by state. I could come through, and now this is actually a map view, and it would drop pins all over the map where I may have open orders by state. So you can even get to a variety of graphic elements that come through. I'm going to close a few of these tabs up here at the top before I get too many of them open and lose track of where I am. Each time you click to open one, it does open it in the screen and stay there. So we can come through and do that. Now down below here we have the ability to predetermine and pre-build prompts. So I can have prompts in place for labor accounts, national accounts, or a variety of other things, and then I can use those prompts or bring them into other reports or other sections, so I can pre-note some of this stuff. I can have pre-formulas built in here, such as fiscal year, and these are all supporting items that we come through. And then lastly, just see if I can find one here. There is the ability to create dashboards. Now I believe that the dashboards are off of this one. Again, it is a dev system, so we've been pulling them off. But a dashboard is simply where we have an element. We have a typical view of a pivot table view. We have a graph view. We have a line chart view. We have a map view. And now I can cluster several views together on a screen. So maybe this is an executive summary, and I have a view that gives me running sales for the month versus running sales for the year. And then I have another view that gives me sales by the state using that map so that we can see in a map type arrangement. And I can have these elements all located. I can put 4, 6, 8, depending upon how big I want the elements to be. I can make some elements dual cubed wide and some half wide, and there's some setup that we can do there. And I didn't validate or confirm that I had one ready to show you, and I apologize for that. But it does allow us to bring in multiple elements of the individual reports that we've been looking at here, put them on a single grid view, again, typically for an executive view of some type. So yeah, I'm just getting a note from one of my SEI specialists that says, hey, dummy, the dashboards are the tab on the bottom down here. So let me get you one of those. So here's an inventory main board, just as an example. You can see it loading multiple screens for you here. And now you can get a grid view on the bottom, one that we saw before, which is our warehouses in a left-right with our items top-down. And then we can see total costs and quantity on hand by category codes in these other groups. If we go look at sales, I can see a sales main board here, and here I'm getting even more things opening up. So I get 2019 and 2020 sales activities. I see location codes. I see sales by salesperson here. So this bill here is really rocking the show, and the others are pulling up the rear. I get a classic pivot table view here, as well as some data point views in here. If I go to top 5 customers, I get something that looks a little bit different. Here I get the map coming up, showing where they are. I get sales by period across these different groups, and then I get my top 5 customers in a bar chart left to right. So here is a way that you can come through and assemble these different elements together so that you get a more cohesive view. And obviously, this is something that that you might sit up on your desktop, or you might check every morning, and you can come through and look at this activity. And then lastly, you have a favorites board here where you can come through and just put a favorite item. This is contracts by status, so obviously there's one open contract in here, so it's relatively useless at this point, but it's just another idea that you can build a variety of different views and use them in a variety of different ways. Now again, what we're looking at is what comes straight out of the box, other than this little subgroup down here, some work that we're starting to work on for one of our clients. But if I go to administration and take a few minutes there before we open this up for questions, is now here I can come through and I can manage a variety of different things. I can manage licensing, and you can see that I have one web user and one mobile user. So a web user is what I'm doing right now. I'm using a website. The mobile user, there is a reduced functionality mobile client that is good for your iPhone or your mobile phone. And if you have remote sales guys, you may want to license them for the mobile app because they're always out on the road versus the full app. So you have that capability as well. We also have an Excel add-in. Now, you can take any report and you can move them to Excel, meaning you can export them out. So if I come through here and let me just close that, and I grab a sales analysis report, sales history report, and I just grab sales history here, you know, I can come through here and export this data out. So I can simply come to File and export it out and get this out in an Excel format. But that, once I do that, once I export this in an Excel format or some other method, it is static at that point. So it is not going to update. The idea of the Excel license is from within Excel, we put an add-in in that allows you to go out and actually open these things that you're seeing in the web browser inside of Excel. So if you just can't live without your Excel environment, everything we build inside of SEI can be accessed via an Excel format. Now, it is our recommendation and our opinion that the web browser is a better location for most users, but there are going to at times be power users that want it all in Excel, and that is perfectly fine. It does take a different license to access the system in real time via Excel versus export a static image to Excel, but you have that capability. Okay, a few other things that I didn't touch on, and this comes down to you know, this unified view. You have these processes in place that we talked about. You have the ability to filter data all across. You can build any filter you want. You can filter by a selection. You can and drop your filters down here. So you can say that I only want my fiscal year to equal 2019, and it would restrict all that. You can also come through and look at your worksheet properties here. So you can get the properties of the current view and change them. You can also save this view in its present format with its data. You can hide certain things on the status board, all things that you would expect to be able to do. And then you can also search the view. So if it's a very big view with a lot of things, or if you've got many views, you can come through here and actually search for views and find them. And then lastly, and we looked at this a little bit, in the navigation section here is view types. So if I was, let's go back to this one. Now I'm just going to grab sales history here. Oh, I got to get rid of this. I'm just going to grab sales history here because it's kind of mundane and doesn't have much to it. Over here, this is called the worksheet. I could push this into a gauge, which we saw earlier and on some of the dashboard views. But I can come through here, I could make it a map, I could make it dynamic labeling, I could make it a bar, and I can do all of these views in real time all the way through and switch between these views so that I find one that best represents the data. And I find one that I best like, and then I can save it off with that view to it. Or I can simply come back to the worksheet view, the base view that was presenting the data. So those are a couple things that when we look at what, how do we allow users to be self-sufficient with their searches, this is it. So administratively, whether you get outside help from us to do it or learn to do it yourself, you build the process. Then you can secure the reports by user. And within that, you can allow the user or disallow the user to move the elements, the groups, the columns, and change the views. So all of that is controlled by users and groups, and can be rolled out to a variety of different things. And then we can update scripts, so we can come through here and look at templates. We can manage different areas of the system. So here we're identifying the data sources, the SQL server, the name of the SQL server, user specifications. I can have a variety of environments and data sources. Those environments and data sources show up down here. So I have a production environment, but I could have a test environment. And my global environments are also set to production because I only have the one. But I can come through here, I'm the administrative user. I can come through here and build some different environments. So what that means is I can hook to multiple databases. So if I'm working in an environment where I have 6, 8, 10, 12 companies, I can connect to company 1, company 2, company 3, or company 4. I can do whichever I want to do. One of the things we're working on for a couple of different clients in different situations, we're doing a proof of concept right now where we're writing a view that actually brings the data from multiple companies into a single element view. So we're working on that to work through the bugs and the details, but again, this is some of the power that this can bring to. So if we've got 4 companies, I may want to have a set of views put together that amalgamates all the sales from all 4 companies, or all the sales by item of all 4 companies, or all the customers if I have similar customers across all 4 entities. And these are things that have been requested of us, and we're working through the SQL views and the other things that are necessary to bring that forward. And then this is where we would bring them in. We would bring them in and start to manage some of these environments, add scripts, update scripts, global parameters, global scripts, global variables. These type of situations would come through and lay this out. We also have an option, and there are a variety of options in the system. One of the options is to be able to build a distributor schedule, or distribution schedule, I should say. The ability to say, run this report and email its results to someone. That is an option tab, or it requires an additional function option, but we do have a scheduler in it. Here is the security section that we talked about. So you can come through here and add users, give them roles, identify what the roles are capable of doing, and display levels and a variety of different things. So you can create groups, you can attach users to the groups. Groups can be members of, and so you can come back and forth and build a fairly robust process here. Here we're looking at things by the group. Here we're looking at process authorizations. So if you remember, the process is that top level where we did all the data joins. So we can come through and say groups have rights to certain processes and don't have rights to other processes. We can build in restrictions. We can build in roles. and we can build in certain environment variables, all with the idea of building a robust security model and giving us the ability to build a lot of different templates and then control who gets to use them and why. So that's part of our management area. We talked about managing dictionaries. You can create new mapping language dictionaries. You can update for language activity. And then again, here we get into our global tools, manage global selection pages, global variables, application links, and we can come through and look at a variety of things. And then lastly is to understand that we're not limited just to the ERP information. We, out of the box, it comes with the connections to your Sage 300 ERP data. That's what you get out of the box, basically what we've been looking at here. But there's nothing that says we cannot go out and connect to CRM data and link the two together. There's nothing to say that we can't expand this to other things that you have in your ERP data, such as manufacturing or EDI or some other service management functionality that is riding inside of your environment. There's no reason that can't be extended through the View process and process building out into these other components. So between the ability to reach out across non-ERP databases with the ability to custom write your own processes and have those processes connected to your own custom written SQL views, you have this ability to really start to build a robust environment that is designed directly for you, that is designed directly for the applications that you're putting together. So with that, we're about 5 minutes after the hour. I've taken 35 minutes of your time. We have about 10 minutes allotted for questions. I'm going to unmute the group. If you have a question, please shout out, and I'll be happy to answer it for you.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
It's Raven. I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
For the mobile view, that's Apple and Android, right?
Yes, it's basically an HTML5 view. So if I grab this URL here, open a new page like this, only push this to port 82.
Still on 81, Steve, just so you know.
Oh, yeah, I did. It jumped back, didn't it? Okay.
Nope.
82.
Strike two.
So this is what it looks like, and
it's just mobile view.
Yep. So we get admin here, admin. And then you can see it has none of the administrative stuff that we looked at, but it does have, if we went through and looked at sales analysis and came through here, so, we could have sales by salesman, and, I can look at it by office, and I've got some limited capability to move these things around here, but it's just a much more restricted view of what I'm able to do here. But it's great. Obviously, if you're on the road or got your iPad in front of you or something along that line, you're not accessing the system to do a lot of maintenance. You just want to get the information.
That's great. Also, I had a question. You exported to Excel, but can you export to PDF? I didn't see, or maybe I missed that. You can? Cool.
Yep.
Yes.
And then also, can you connect to a pervasive database?
No.
Okay. That's all the questions I had, for right now at least.
I've actually, this is Sue from Frontline. I've actually a couple of comments for everybody. Things that because I'm the SCI person here. I'm also the Crystal report writer. A couple of reasons why I really love this software. First off, just a couple things as Steve mentioned that I wanted to highlight. Number one, the worksheet can be set up, and then you can allow your users to play with it, meaning move all of the data around all you want. And then you choose whether or not they have the ability to save their changes or if the worksheet reverts back to what it was. So if you've ever wanted to give people in your office a place where they can slice and dice the data and mess with things, but don't necessarily have rights to change it for all time, what that worksheet looks like. This software is really great with that. It's obviously very user-friendly, the ability to just drag and drop and move things around. One of the things as a report writer that I really like is that if you come up with a set of logic, let's say, for example, that you come up with a certain way that you calculate a certain formula. In our current world where we have all of these custom Crystal reports, if you've changed your logic on something, we have to go touch every single report that needs that logic updated. Whereas with the SCI software, when you change logic, you're just changing it at that process level. So if I change the logic at the sales history level, Steve, can you click the button just to blow out sales history for a second? We've automatically changed that logic for every single worksheet, graph, anything that is below it, which is, it's just much quicker to maintain and update your analysis information. So I really like that. The other thing, one of the things he showed you that I love is the ability to take a worksheet and quickly turn it into a bar graph or a pie chart or switch it back. Again, just allowing your users to visualize that data in whatever way makes sense to them. And then that dashboard, I love the dashboard because if you've got people in your company who just want to see a quick snapshot of information, Steve, can you go back to dashboard for me for a second and click on even inventory main board would be fine, or sales main board, either one. It comes up quickly. So Steve, if you click on like the Portland office up at the top, number 2, that location, I think that's a filter. So when you click on certain buttons on the screen, you can drill down even farther into the snapshot. So if you, for example, have your top 10 items that you've been wanting to watch this year and how their sales are doing, a dashboard would be a great place to be able to see how are those top 10 doing. I want to drill into a specific one. I want to drill into a specific quarter or year, etc., and see it all in a snapshot right in front of you. And then, as Raven mentioned, it is all, you have the ability to send this out as a PDF, to email it to people. When you send it out as an email, you can circle things, you can put comments on it. So again, it's a great way to communicate information in an understandable way to people quickly. All right, I'm done my pitch for SCI. Thanks, everybody.
She's a shill that I bring to all my shows. Any other questions? Anyone? Now's the time. Okay, well, with that, I appreciate your time today. I hope you have enjoyed another Lunch and Learn presented by Frontline Systems. We have recorded this, so if you are just absolutely dying to see it again, in about 3 or 4 days, it will be up on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. Check that out. View it, like it, share it on social media, do all those fun things with our YouTube presentations. Again, my name is Steve Erickson. On this call also was Sue Herman. And I see hiding in the winds back there, Fred is back there watching from our Northeast location. So welcome. And I hope everyone has a great day. And we look forward to showing you another Lunch and Learn in the future. Thank you.